I will also stand on the protocols that have already been established. Good morning, everyone. As we've been told, my name is Architect Martin Tairo. Currently, I'm the County Executive Committee member for Public Works, Infrastructure, Housing and Energy in the County Government of Taita Taveta. We call it the County of the Hidden Treasure. It's a very beautiful county. And for anyone who hasn't been to Taita Taveta, I know I've interacted with quite a number of you who visited the county. But if you haven't, then I'd like to formally invite you to the County of the Hidden Treasure. Great. So as they are setting up the presentation, I think I'd like to, first of all, appreciate the invitation by the association and the organizing committee for the convention to invite us as counties to come and have this conversation. I know I have complained previously to various leaders in the association that counties have been left out in some of these conversations. We'd come to our conventions, we'd come to our seminars and workshops, we'd speak to ourselves as professionals. And I experienced this recently when I attended a morning CPD seminar for AAK Planners Chapter, where we had some very brilliant conversations about planning, about urbanism. But the problem is that they were talking about what counties are supposed to do, but the counties were not represented. So I felt like we were speaking to ourselves and we are not appreciating the fact that at the moment, the Constitution of Kenya that we passed in 2010 has given counties a lot of responsibility and many roles in terms of implementation, many of these strategies, especially towards making our urban centers livable. The planning function is purely a county government function. Therefore, it is always important that we ensure counties are properly involved when we come to dealing with these matters of urbanization. So my paper is titled The Role of County Governments in Shaping Up Livable Urban Areas in Kenya's Rural Landscapes. And I've titled it Rural Urbanism, and I'm looking at Taita Taveta County as a case study. Rural urbanism basically is, we are looking at urbanism in a sense that we have these emerging centers that are not entirely urban, they are also not entirely rural. So the question is, where do we place them? When we enacted the new constitution in 2010, the previously local governments became defunct. And between 2010 and 2013, there was a slight time when there was a gap in terms of management of urban areas, because the local authorities were not there in law, and the Constitution had provided for the establishment of new structures for the management of urban areas. But within those 2-3 years, the structures were not there. So county governments were grappling, because you have Thank you. So county governments are grappling because you have a county that is both rural and urban, where you're supposed to cater for the urban population that has very specific needs, and you're also supposed to cater for the rural population, which also has very specific needs. But around that time, the Ministry of Housing, with the help of funding or a loan from World Bank, established the Kenya Urban Support Program that was very helpful in establishing what we have now as municipalities, cities, towns, and market centers all over the country. So that's a brief profile of myself, which I think was read, so I would not go back to it. So just to give you an overview of what is currently happening. And that is what I was explaining, that urbanization in Kenya currently is no longer confined to what we were used to. Because for many years, the only areas we considered as urban centers were Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu. So with the enactment of the Constitution of 2010, with the development of, or the establishment of counties under the devolution or the devolved structure of governance, then it meant that there was a lot more activity that was going to happen within the devolved structures, which meant there was going to be a crop up of quite a number of urban areas that I know they would not fit into the original concept of urban areas as we knew, but they were urban areas all the same. Also, as counties, we discovered that it is much easier for us to provide the services when people came and lived closer together. It would be cheaper for us to provide roads for them. It would be cheaper for us to provide water for them. It would be cheaper for us to provide lighting for them, and many other services that government is required to provide. Therefore, we've seen a lot of growth in rural counties, starting with what we call the county headquarters, where the office of the governor or the office of the county government sits. We've also seen growth in quite a number of intermediate towns within these counties. And the Constitution, as I'd mentioned earlier, devolution gives counties the power to shape livable areas within these urban areas that we have in Kenya. So as we conceptualize how these urban areas are forming up, it's important to understand that they are not the urban areas that we were used to. You have an urban area that is located in an area that is predominantly, again, rural. So there are all these linkages that we have between the urban areas and the rural areas. How are these two establishments supporting each other in terms of the services that they offer to each other? You find that the rural areas, they serve the urban areas in terms of provision for supplies, for food, and even labor that people in urban areas or entities in urban areas would require for them to survive and operate. And then the urban areas, again, they also feed back into the rural areas. And this is how we feel that rural urbanism can be conceptualized. The second aspect is that the growth is incremental. It does not happen at once or, like a big bang. It is something that it is seen to grow slowly and incrementally as further development happens within these areas. And then the economies, of course, it's purely hybrid because it's dependent on both services that would be relevant to the urban areas and the rural areas. So just a brief look at the legal framework that is giving counties this ability or the power to shape how these rural urban areas are going to develop. The first one, of course, is the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, which assigns key roles. And the main one that I've talked about is, of course, the role of planning that is given directly to the counties. Then we have the County Government Act that assigns further roles to counties, largely in terms of how they plan the development of these counties. And some of the documents that the County Government Act requires county to develop, they include the County Integrated Development Plans, annual development plans, and more importantly now, all counties are required to develop a county spatial plan. Then you have other laws like the Urban Areas and Cities Act that set up the structure for the management of some of these urban areas. The Urban Areas and Cities Act classifies these urban areas into different classes. So you'd have areas that are classified as cities, municipalities, you go lower to town centers, and they also recognize up to market centers. Then you have other documents like the PLUPA that looks at planning and development control within the counties, and also the National Urban Development Policy. So coming down to Taita Taveta County, as I had mentioned, it's in southern part of Kenya, bordering Tanzania. It's in the coast region. Our county is about 17,000 square kilometers. However, about 60% of the county is under the Tsavo East and West National Park, and another about 25% is under conservancies, and the rest of the land, which is about 15%, is what is occupied by communities within the county. Our population is about 400,000 approximately. This is projected from the last census that was carried out up to now. And then some of the key economic activities that we carry out in the county, you'd find there's quite a bit of mining activity, both bulk and precious minerals. Then you have agriculture. Taita Taveta County is actually the breadbasket of the coastal region in terms of food. Then you have trade locally for agricultural products and livestock products. We have tourism because of the Tsavo East and West National Park. And then we have about 150 kilometers of the A1 highway from Mombasa to Nairobi. And because of that strategic highway passing through our county, then it means that transportation is also part of the economic activity that has developed within the county. So the county has 4 sub-counties, and within the 4 sub-counties, the main town centers have emerged as urban centers. The first one is my village. This is Mwatate. Mwatate, which currently is the county headquarters. And the key activity that is happening in Mwatate, largely it is mining because it's a fairly dry area. The town developed as a market center. In fact, if you look at its development and growth, it started further up. There's a dense area there which we call Soko ya Zamani, which was an older market center that developed, and people coalesced around that area. Before it came to the core of the urban center, which is right somewhere in the middle here, and that is where the market was moved to. That became the new market area, and the center grew. Currently, the market has been shifted further down, which means now the center still keeps growing. So as a county headquarters, it's a key urban area within the county that has very strategic roles, not only administrative, but also, as I'd mentioned, a lot of mining activity, mainly for the precious minerals, happens within this area. It also has a potential as a transport hub because the Voi-Taveta highway, and Taveta is the border town between Kenya and Tanzania, passes through Mwatate. Then the other urban center that we have is Undanyi. Undanyi is the former county headquarters. It's right at the top of Taita Hills. And as you can see, it's a small urban center that is patched up a hill, and you can even see the boundaries of the urban center. The topography there is quite difficult to work with. Even putting up buildings is very expensive, and that has largely contributed to why, despite having been the district headquarters then, that the center has not grown. At the moment, it does not even qualify to be a municipality, so Undanyi town is being chartered as a town. Some of the key economic activities, of course, being a highland area, you have agricultural activity, and then you also have the highland tourism activities. Then the other urban center that we have is the main, that probably most of you have passed through here as you head to Mombasa. So this is Voi. Voi is the highway hub. A lot of highway transportation activity happens there. In fact, that is what led to its development. Also, there is tourism and bulk mining, because we have these bulk minerals like iron ore and copper that are in Voi. Then you have the border town, which is Taveta. Between Kenya and Tanzania. Taveta is also a purely agricultural zone, so there's a lot of trade happening locally for agricultural products, and also cross-border trade between Kenya and Tanzania. So as a county, there are a number of things that we have been working on in terms of ensuring that our urban areas are properly developed. One of them is on the aspect of planning. Constitutionally, we've been able to develop the CIDPs, ADPs. We recently launched our county energy plan, and we are also in the final stages of concluding our county spatial plan. Actually, it has been passed by the Assembly, and we are in the process of validating it with members of the public. We've also done quite a bit of work on infrastructure in terms of routine maintenance of our roads. Although it's a challenge, there's a funding challenge, and as counties, through the Council of Governors, we've been advocating for allocation of additional funding for road maintenance. We've maintained that post the 2010 Constitution, there are some entities like Kenya Urban Roads Authority and Kenya Rural Roads Authority that have been carrying out roles that are constitutionally mandated to counties, that they be disbanded because the Constitution only recognizes the Kenya National Highways Authority and county governments as road maintenance agencies in Kenya. We've also engaged in housing. There are a number of housing projects that have come up or are coming up in Voi and in Taveta. Then in terms of water and energy, we've done quite a bit of work in enhancing the provision of water. We currently are working on project solarizing about 20 boreholes. It's a massive project to enhance the supply of water within the county. And then on waste management, we are one of the first counties in Kenya to set up a material recovery facility. We have a waste management policy that provides for waste separation at source, and we are working on that infrastructure to ensure that we turn waste into resources and encourage people to deal with this waste at the source. So in terms of opportunities and challenges, of course, devolved planning authority is an opportunity because devolution has enabled us to ensure that planning responds to needs of the people at the local level. Then we have other opportunities like tourism and heritage integration. Then there is also a bit of cross-border trade between Kenya and Tanzania. We are working on a lot of innovation and digitization of many of our services, including development control, and we are also open for PPPs. Currently, we are in the final stages of setting up a PPP for water supply within Taita Taveta County. But the challenge is the same. We have limited budgets. We find that many counties, including ours, we spend a lot of our resources dealing with salaries and recurrent expenses. But again, it's also because we are not getting a fair share of resources from the national government. We were allocated literally about 70% of roles and responsibilities, but we only receive about 15% of equitable share from the national government. There are a number of other challenges that we are facing. How do we conserve while still ensuring that we enable or allow urbanization to happen. Then there are a number of other bureaucracies that we face, just being government in terms of operations that are also giving us challenges in our operation. We have land matters that are yet to be resolved, and then legal and also institutional bottlenecks that we face as we carry out our roles and responsibilities. Here I was just looking at comparative insights with other centers in terms of what they've been able to do with what they have, and I had picked up Machakos and Thika and Lodwar and also Nakuru as some examples with elements that we can learn from. Again, we also take involvement of the community very seriously. We ensure citizen participation in everything that we do. We take our development to the ward level, and we work very closely with our county assemblies. As you can see here, part of the county spatial plan is being taken through the public participation process, which is again also a requirement of the law. So as I finish, I think I had just made a number of conclusions and recommendations, and key among them is that the future of Kenya is rural urbanism. I know we are still bogged with the thinking that we have all to move towards the major cities, but you're saying no, the major cities have been stretched enough, so we need to work towards developing some of these urban centers within our rural areas to ensure that they can also serve people within those areas. Thank you very much.